I'm Angela, and I am one of the partners in the business with my other half, Tim.
My name's Tim Homewood. I'm the cheesemaker of HomeWood Cheeses.
We met at the tobacco factory market in Bristol. Tim was making cheese for somebody else and selling their cheese, and I was making cakes and biscuits and preserves and selling them, and it blossomed over the cheese counter, I suppose.
For the first time in 8 years, we went away for 4 nights in a row together. It's been unusual. For the first 7 years of our business, I was on my own, just me shouting at Radio 4. And now I've got Angela to shout at and Radio 4. I used to be a barman at a Michelin star hotel, and I used to steal a particular cheese off a cheese board, and about a couple of years later I ended up making that cheese. I tend to prefer more artisan style cheese for that variation in it, and it's what we're trying to harness with making our Avellines and our Demdikes at certain times of the year. It just depends on what the cheese is. It is a lifestyle instead of just a work. The milk comes in, it's heated, and it's depending on what cheese I'm doing, depends on how I heat it. Once it's reached its temperature, it's then given a culture or not.
The main bit is when you set the milk, and then you get the curd mass. When you cut it, that's when you separate the curds and the whey, and it's the curd that goes into the cheese making. Normally the whey is a waste product then.
Generally we make halloumi and fresh 2 days a week. Then we'll do Demdike and Avellines 1 day a week, and then we do the pickled 1 day a week. So it's not monotonous. It's not typically, it does all run a pattern, but it's not the same every day. And yeah, it's quite interesting. I don't get bored. We cut it and it's moulded depending on what it's going to be. Like with the Demdike, it's a washed curd, so we actually wash the curds in water before they're moulded. Maturing, that's the next thing. Halloumi literally is virtually ready to sell once it comes out of the pot. The pickled takes a month before we can sell that, and the Demdike's usually 6 weeks.
I enjoy seeing it all wrapped up and going off to customers, and them being happy about it, and people talking about it. It's nice to see you being mentioned in magazines and in articles, and there is a massive satisfaction knowing that we started it from scratch and it's become something that people want to talk about. So yeah, that's the best bit.
Quite simply, it's like alchemy. I start off with a raw product of milk and I end up with an amazing cheese at the end of it, and it's still hopefully it still amazes me, still a joy, and we've been doing it for 9 years and it still amazes me.